be where it is today if it wasn't for at least some open dialogue on Twitter that you can't really find on most other social platforms.
The narrative on I'm not sure I understand, but Israel's just straight up committing genocide. So I don't know about the narrative.
Well, I mean, if let's just compare like Twitter to all the censorship that you and I, the guys on the show as well, have felt when we were trying to point out different things, and maybe you and I were pointing out different things, but we were trying to take truth to power. We were trying to point out about the corruption of this, corruption of that. Let's just get into again what I talked about earlier. You talking about Bernie Sanders getting hijacked from Hillary Clinton for the DNC primary. There seemed to be like a real push to censor that story getting out. And if we understand that Israel has a real control of like not just our government, I mean the media and our government, the amount of discussion about what Israel is doing on Twitter seems to be more places now than anytime before anywhere else. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely right. But I think it has to do with the fact that that Israel's committing such a massive such a genocide on a grand scale. And if people care, I can let them know I'm Jewish, but that doesn't really matter. That it's been very difficult, despite the fact that they have been able to control the propaganda around Israel. They call it Hasbara. They've been able to control it for many years, for the most part. Those of us who have been speaking the truth about Israel for many years have been attacked in a variety of different ways, and it has been difficult to get the truth out. But now it is so aggressive, it's so in your face, despite the fact that they have killed more journalists than the entirety of the Vietnam War, more journalists than the entirety of World War II. The message is still getting out that this is a straight up genocide. I think people need to understand what Israel is. It is a settler colonial state, and that has stolen people's land. Many of them still have the keys to their homes that were stolen as they were sent to refugee camps over the past 50 years. And, Gaza's been an open air prison, and now they're just obliterating everybody. It's full on ethnic cleansing. Many of the quotes by Israel's higher ups, don't even deny that this is, they don't use the words ethnic cleansing, but they get goddamn close. And it's just disgusting. I mean, the average percentage of children killed in modern warfare is 6 to 8%. In Gaza, in this obliteration by Israel, it's over 40%. It's actually nearing 50% are all children that they're massacring. I could go through the details for hours, but I think an important point that people should know about Israel and the difference between Israel and just Jews writ large is that not all Jews are Zionists. There are millions of anti-Zionist Jews. There are very Orthodox anti-Zionist Jews as well.
We just had a big argument on that on the show about that topic specifically.
Yeah, and another important point is there are more Zionist Christians in America than there are Jews in the world. There are evangelical Christians, especially, although many Christians that are not evangelical are huge supporters of Israel. So there, and most of the funding, much of the funding that's sent from the United States, meaning individual funding, not government funding, sent to Israel comes from evangelical Christians who believe, in the strict reading of however they've decided to read the Bible, that the Jews need to be in Israel. All the Jews need to be in Israel in order for the end times to come. So evangelical Christians believe that if they can get all the Jews to Israel, then the Jews can burn in a fiery hell. So they support the state of Israel. It is such an insane and backward situation. But, the people who think that Israel equals all Jews, they've fallen for a propaganda that Israel has put forward. Israel wants everyone to think that Israel equals all Jews, because then they can speak for all Jews, and then any attack or critique of the Israeli state is anti-Semitism.
Attack on Jews.
It's attack on Jews.
I'm with you on that as well. Yeah, for sure. And it's basically, again, if you can get people to the rhetoric to be, and you saw it like up until like Ari Shafir went on Howie Mandel and it just seemed to slow down after that. But before it was like, I can't walk the streets. I can't walk the streets.
Yeah.
And you just saw like Jews in New York going, I'm a Jew. Let's see me walk the streets. And like he just walked the streets and nothing happened to him. But it gets into, and this gets into some like real, like I've been fighting Hitler dick riders on Twitter forever. Like I can't stand these guys, and this like he's just this, this belief that he's this anomaly of that he had no that the bankers didn't control him at all or anything like that. Like every one of these people before him. But the point is, it's like with October 7th, a big part of that is to get all these Jews to think everybody hates them, and to get them all to move to Israel. So there is this kind of like Abrahamic prophecy fulfillment that goes back to what you're talking about. And it's like a big part of that is to scare Jews into moving to Israel to fulfill this prophecy. So
either moving there or at least supporting the Israeli actions and their genocidal intent. Yeah.
And just the things that they are saying, it's like the things that are being said by high ups is like nothing I've ever heard any politician allowed to say ever. Even the Turks versus the Armenians, there's a level of discord that is kept kind of, a lack of a better word, professional, why they discuss the other side. This you do not see that with how Israeli politicians talk about Palestinians like they're literal animals.
Yeah, calling them animals, calling them cockroaches, saying that no one is innocent in Gaza, meaning a one-day-old baby is guilty of something in Gaza. It's just straight up genocidal talk. It's how you try and justify genocide. And also in terms of the propaganda that's been put forward, we've seen, as those of us who in last October, November, were saying, we're pointing out the Hannibal Directive, that the Israeli military, if anyone is taken hostages, they have a directive to kill everyone, to kill the hostage taker, and anyone around. And that is how the IDF operates. And we were saying this, October, November, December, and we were called insane. We were called conspiracy theorists. It has now been admitted or covered in reports by the UN, by Israel, by the IDF has even admitted the Hannibal Directive. It just, at every level, it's been admitted that. Now, they may not admit the amount of Hannibal Directive that was used, the number of Israeli citizens that were killed by Israeli military on October 7th. That can continue to be debated, but they have admitted that Hannibal Directive was used and that they killed a lot of their own civilians. You have witness testimonies, and these are from pro-Israel Israelis that were involved in October 7th. They were either taken hostage and escaped, or were in some of the kibbutzes that were attacked. They have said that they were struck by the IDF, that IDF helicopters were gunning down everyone at that Nova Music Festival, shooting the cars. By the way, the hundreds of cars that were at that festival, Israel shredded them and buried them in an undisclosed location. And they said they did it to respect the dead.
I mean, they just think we're stupid. They just think we're dumb. And it just blows me away. Anytime you hide the evidence, is like you're trying to cover up something. And it's just really sad and pathetic. And the way people still, I mean, even a lot of the Israeli defenders early seem to be somewhat really, really quiet. And you just start getting into, and I hate doing this because, it's so funny. People are like, oh, dude, you're afraid to just call out the Jews. I'm like, dude, because I feel this about the Jews the same way I feel about how Twitter treated white people in 2018, where all white people were involved in everything a white person ever did of all time. And they all just signed off on it all the time. And no matter where you were economically on the ladder, you were still involved in the worst of the worst that the elites were doing. And I just don't believe that.
Yeah,
I believe
as if every Italian is Christopher Columbus and commits genocide.
or just every Italian's in the mob. Like every one of them is a mob. It's like it's so ridiculous. And it just again goes back to like not all Zionists are Jews, not all Jews are Zionists.